Hey guys, Uclash here, and hopefully this microphone's a little better. I was using AirPods on my last video, the one where I was explaining the morale system, and I didn't really care for the audio quality. So, recording on mobile here, I may need to find an actual legit microphone or just record on the computer. So yeah, but I wanted a video today. I wanted to go over a breakdown of kind of how I interpret battle reports. So I've been helping a lot of people out lately with, moving around their characters and testing a few things, and we were able to get some really good damage bonuses, and I wanted to go over some of those with you, just kind of how I look into it and dive into it. So first, let's look at, we had Headless Knight today was the boss, and let's go ahead and open this level 10 Headless Knight here. So we're looking here, and we can see I'm running Adjudicator and Rose Princess, Pyromancer, Storm Maiden, Paragon, and Nun. And I do keep getting questions a lot. People say, hey, you're killing your Legion bonus, your League bonus by not running all 6 of your heroes as League, but Storm Maiden is Horde, and Horde gets a really nice damage bonus against League. And if you look here and you notice the little boss guy here is League, and the Legion bosses, they are also League class, and most players, at least on my younger server, we're just now starting to get some mythic heroes, most players on my server are also running predominantly League. So having Stormwind in there, or Storm Maiden, sorry, in there, even though she is League, even though she is Horde, it's really nice to get the, I think it's a plus 30% damage bonus or something she has against League. So she does some really nice damage. But anyways, so notice here all the way down to Nun. Right now, Nun is in purple gear. I've got my third yellow piece cooking, and of course, whenever I'm ready, I'll go ahead and deconstruct these to get the gear runes back, so I can push her stuff hopefully to as close to 20 as possible. Two of the pieces that are already done are already at plus 10, so they're on my queue too. So hopefully whenever it's time to do that, I'll be able to get her really close to plus 20 bonus all the way across. But let's look into this a little bit and see how she did. So now if we're looking at the combat here, the very first on where it says your side, so the blue area here, so the very first part right here, I hope you can see where I'm tapping, making little circles on the screen. So we got the combat, and what that is that's how much damage each hero did. So here you see Rose Princess at the top did 20.5 million, followed by Adjudicator at 21.6 million, and then we've got Pyro did 75.9 million, Stormwind did 65.6 million, Paragon 33.3, and Nun at 0. None did none. And then on the damage taken side, so that's the middle one here. It's got the shield, the defense look to it, but that's the damage taken. So Rose Princess only took 16 damage. So now the weird thing about these world bosses, they don't do much damage, and there is a lot to learn from that, right? So, and I'll go over that here, and I'll show the impact. So we see Adjudicator took 37.7k damage, not 37.7 million. Usually he takes 60 or 70 million on a Legion boss fight, but these world bosses, they just, for some reason, they do almost no damage. And notice none of my heroes died. So notice none of these heroes are grayed out, so none of them died. They all lived, which makes sense with such little damage taken. But because they took such little damage, that means over here, None, so she only healed for 6.51k healing. So this tells me right here, I don't need None in my lineup on this. Now, one thing about that is None, if we look at her here, I do have her started on the awakening process. So she is tier 1, and tier 1 gets a passive skill where she boosts boost the bonus your heroes get from soldiers by 15%. And what's significant about that is that with her in the lineup, my heroes are getting 15% boost from the soldier. If I pull her out of the lineup, is that going to reduce the damage that my heroes do enough to make it not worth subbing her out? So if we go in here and let's pull up my next report. So here's the next report. What I did was I pulled her out and I put Bard in. Bard at level 200. He's not even in the silver stars, so Nun's at 2 silver stars, I think. He's not awakened or anything or started the process. He's just 5 red stars. And his skills aren't even particularly that great. Nun's all at like, I think 8, 9, or 10 for each of her skills. Bard's not anything I've spent a lot of work on. So, and again, he's got the plus 30 purple set on now. And if we look here on the combat tab now one thing we notice is the damage. Look at the damage. I did 99 million more damage as a whole. We saw Pyro got a huge boost, Storm Maiden got a huge boost, Paragon got a minor boost, and we got Bard actually doing some damage, right? So Bard added 14 million damage, but he's a buffer hero. So we look here, we see our other main damage heroes. All the other heroes did quite a bit more damage. So overall, we did 99 million more damage. Now, had I not gone in and looked at this first battle report and noticed, oh hey, for some weird reason, my heroes are taking almost no damage, they're not dying, I must be hitting I know the battle's instant, but I think it simulates like a 2 or 3 minute timer on the fight, something like that. But I could go in here and say, hey, you know what, I don't need a heal, and instead I can replace her with a buffer hero, and that's what I did with Bard, and I got 99 million more damage. So almost a 50% gain in damage, about 45% or so. Now let's look at some of these other battles here that I've favorited. So let's go back to one right here. We were testing out Legion 7, so my guild's just now kind of getting in where we can reliably beat a level 7 Legion boss. Really, Rhesus is the one that headlines it, and if Rhesus has got some really good heroes, but without him in there, at the point in time when I saved this from a couple days ago, we wouldn't have had a chance. But we see Rhesus, he did 53% damage to the boss, and I did 45%. Now, if I open it up, I do 16 or 18% if I'm the first person, but that has to do with morale, the morale system here. So if you want more information on that, go look at my last video where I go deep explaining how morale is calculated, how you can influence your morale, as well as the impact that morale has on the battle on both sides, and specifically with Legion bosses, they have a little extra thing to do with morale. But we see here Rhesus did 53% damage. So the way this works is the Legion boss starts out 100% damage, of course. Rhesus did 53% damage. So on his battle 1 line right here on the right hand side, it says Legion boss 47%. That means the Legion boss has 47% of its health left. Now I come in next, and you see I'm at 0%. That means I died. Rhesus is 0%. He died. There's also the little red scratchy icon over our picture. Now the Legion boss here has 2% health left. So I did 45% damage. It's 47% from Rhesus completing, minus the 2% from me completing. So Bambino came in here, and he's got a huge morale bonus, plus the boss only had 2% health. Bambino owned that boss, essentially. Knocked out the last 2%. Bambino still at 100% health here. Now, if we go in a little bit deeper here, and let's look over here on the hero side. So again, all 6 heroes are grayed out, indicating that they all died. Now, sometimes even on the Legion boss, I've had it before where maybe only 1 or 2 heroes died, but I still lost the battle, and someone else had to come in and do it. And that's what I'm saying is I think that there's a simulated clock on here. There's a 2 or 3 minute simulated time, even though battle happens instantly almost. But sometimes I'll have it where I lose the battle, even though not all of my heroes died. And I really do think it's just a factor of that timer. My adjudicator is super tanky, so maybe my pyro dies early or something. But looking down here, some key things I like to look at. So Rhesus's gear, he's got all gold gear, pretty solid. He's really put a huge focus on pyro here, And then if we go over here and let's just kind of pull up my account here. Um, I've also got almost all gold gear. Now, this is uh, this is from a few days ago, so I've got plus 20 set on all my gold gear now. But what I like to say is basically, there is an order in how you upgrade the gear to make it most efficient for you. And you really want to be most efficient so that you can do as much damage as you can, because that allows you to reap better rewards from all the different benefits, which will help you grow faster. But over here, basically the other things I look at. So this right here, these heroes are actually in order. So I've got Adjudicator on the right, behind him is Storm Maiden, behind her is Paragon in this lineup I'm using. I use a slightly different lineup now. On this other side, this was before I had Rose Princess, so we've got Secret Keeper, behind him is Paragon, and behind her is the Nun. So we see the order that they're in, so whenever I look at people's reports, if they're asking for help on what they might be able to change, that's one thing I like to look at. What order are their heroes in? Do they have a hero in a weird spot? I do like to have my main DPS lined up right behind Adjudicator. Now I'm kind of messing with a little different layout right now. Another big guy on our server, Aries, he really likes to have some of the more DPS guys in the middle. And whenever I looked at it, it kind of makes sense with my Adjudicator, because I notice a lot of times the heroes on the back, sometimes they don't get inside of Adjudicator's shield. So whenever I look at the replays of the battles, I learn a lot from those replays. So if you do really well or really poorly, always try to watch the replay if you can. So on the next tab, the Q tab, this is a really important tab too. So this gives us an overview of how much power each side gets from each of the different bonuses. Now it doesn't have everything in there. Another important thing, the Lord gear here. So like if we were doing PvP, I might notice that maybe someone else has their Lord gear arranged differently than I do or something. The tech is another area I really like to look at a lot, and I've got some work to do on my arms race and on my hero. I need to get both of those up quite a bit. Now we can't do these other two right now on our server, those aren't available, but on the and then we've got, actually I've never noticed those. But yeah, we don't have those tech branches yet on our server. But we can see here my Q boost tree is at 50%, soldiers at 49%, arms race prep at 36, hero at 27. So that's another thing I like to look at. So like if two people have similar heroes and similar gear on those heroes, but yet one of them beat the other one pretty easily, or one of them does a lot better, whatever, then a lot of times it comes down to the tech or the soldiers. So the next thing I like to look at too is the facility, or this facility. So of course castle's important, statues also important, because these statues are what control how many troops you can have per hero, in your wave. And again, that all goes back to the morale. Again, reference the last video I posted over the maximizing your damage through the morale system or something like that. But the more troops you have, the more your morale is, the better position you're going to be against your opponent. The next thing I like to look at here is what level are their barracks. Now, my nature stuff is really underdeveloped because I don't use any nature heroes, but I use 5, I'm running 5 league heroes, so I've got a level 35 there, but my horde stuff's only at 30. I need to get that up, right? And I've been working on getting my horde statue up some too, so I can get that march higher. Another thing here is are these two buildings. I don't remember which is which, but the one, look at them. One of them, I think it's the Metal Hall, gives a bonus to the health of the soldiers. I think it's a 5% bonus per level. So you'll want to always look at what level your opponents have versus what level you have, because if you have an underdeveloped, I think it's the Metal Hall again, then your troops are gonna have a lot less health. I mean, just imagine if you get it to level 10, your soldiers have 100% health boost. So that is really, really big, because that impacts your heroes. So, but yeah, look at these. Here you see the altar also. Level 266, it's really weird the way they calculate it because, it takes like 4 or 5 upgrades to actually upgrade it. So, but that's another thing too, because that gives a bonus on the impact of the relics, health and damage bonus that your heroes get. So the next thing, soldiers, right? So more soldiers the better, and the higher tier the better. Here we can see that the boss I fought here had 1,945 tier 10 troops, and we can see my breakdown here: tier 8 and tier 7. So you can also learn a lot from those. That again directly correlating with the morale. Now the troop skin, I inadvertently had the wrong troop skin here, shield soldier, but this is a great troop skin because it gives an 18, or at least at level 21, it gives an 18% bonus to your load capacity. So anytime like you're farming other accounts or doing farming runs or whatever, make sure you pop on shield soldier on all of those, and that bonus only applies to the queues that are using this skin, and this skin is one of those that can be used on all of your queues at once. Next, of course, the runes, those have a huge bonus or benefit to the accounts as well, so that's another good thing you want to compare. And then which relics are being used, you get that. And then the decorations are also really important. Here you can see I have both of these 2 towers that give a plus 40% health bonus randomly to one hero of each of those classes. And then you can also see a few of the other decorations. It doesn't show all of the really important ones. I wish it did. I'm not real sure where it's getting some of this from, but it's just still another thing to compare. Now, where you can spend a lot of time, and what I'll do is I'll actually pull up Excel, and if I'm trying to compare 2 people, I'll put all these stats in, because then I may be comparing 2 different reports. Like maybe it's one person hitting a Legion boss versus another person hitting a Legion boss. They have similar tech, similar gear, similar this, similar that. They don't know why one does so much better than the other one. So a lot of times in that case, maybe it's the positioning of the heroes in the queue, which again you can see on this tab right here, or it might be something down here on this area, on the attribute area. So that's why it's handy to pull this off into Excel, because maybe I'm trying to compare multiple battle reports. But you can learn a lot from this too, and this is pretty handy too, where it shows you red versus green. If it's me versus another player and I want to analyze it, I can actually get that information right here without having to go into Excel or something. So the next part, of course, is the combat tab, and that's kind of what I started out with. You have how much damage you did, how much damage you took each hero, and then how much healing each hero did. And then over here you also see the overall damage. So this is kind of where I go to right here, is I look, if I want to see overall holistically how much damage did a target take, or did a boss take, I always go down here under the enemy tab, and I look right here under the shield, under the damage here. So that tells me here he took 100 million damage. So that's some really important information as well. Let's go look through a couple of other reports here that I have. Now here we have a defeat, and let's see here if we can see. Okay, so this was one that I started. Now again, to the morale, again, I don't want to make this all about morale, but go check out my last video. Here we can see the morale. My morale starting out was 2.33 million. Bosses was 4.8 million. Now we can click on this little eye next to morale, and it tells us here the enemy's morale is 2.06 times that of yours, causing 2.06 times the damage in battle. Now this does max at 3 times modifier. So if he's got 100 times more morale, he's still just going to get a 3 times modifier. But the interesting thing here on the Legion bosses specifically, when the enemy's morale is above 50%, this buff will be effective, damage plus 50%. So as the Legion boss starts out at 4.8 million, as long as he's above 2.4 million morale, he's going to have a 50% damage bonus. So this is why it's really key. What I like to see is where your biggest hitter goes first in the rally. And that allows him to try to get that down as much as possible. And then the last person I like to see go is your second biggest damager. Because what happens is your first guy, he gets the morale down to a reasonable level. The other 2 or 3 players, they'll get to do as much damage as they can, right? But we want to make sure that we maximize the damage holistically. So let's run our second biggest player last, so that he gets the benefit of the boss having the least amount of morale, and that morale bonus being lopsided in favor of your largest damager. And then that way you can maximize the damage as a whole, right? And let me click on myself here. So looking here again, I'm going to look at the heroes. So here again, I'm running Secret Keeper, and Pyro's still on the back. Now let's fast forward a little bit. Let's look at today's night here. I did want to see if it said anything on the morale. Yeah, I don't see where the morale's listed. Oh, but I did want to show one other thing. So a really important thing. Sometimes you'll fight the same monster or the same boss over and over. And one time, maybe you get a 15 or 20% extra damage that you don't normally get. Or maybe you do half as much damage as normal. So it's really hard to understand that. And a lot of that variation comes into difference in critical strike chances, as well as those towers. So if we go back on my Q tab here and we look, these facilities go on right here under decoration. These 2 decorations, again, these are random. They randomly apply a 40% health bonus. So the way we can see that is a lot of these battles now, and I just noticed this the other day. I don't know if it's new or if I'm just blind, but we can actually click the replay button down here at the bottom right corner, and we can actually watch the battle go, which is kind of cool. I didn't know this. I've been wishing for a while we could do this on the Legion bosses, because I really can't see from the battle report very easily anyways. I can't really see to whom that bonus got applied. And with this layout, I can see who the bonus got applied to. Now, obviously, Storm Maiden's going to get the bonus for Horde because she's the only Horde character. Now, if I ran a Nature hero, I can make sure that if I had that Nature tower, then that Nature hero would get it, and then one of the Legion heroes would get it. Now, if you get that tower high enough level, then you're guaranteed that at least 2 of the frontline heroes get the bonus. I don't really know what happens if you have your league tower high enough and you have both Horde heroes on the front or something. I guess it would maybe go to the 2 middle ones. I don't know. But anyways, I wanted to show this too. So here is really cool, so you can see what happens. Sometimes maybe you do way less damage, maybe some weird crit happened and it killed your main damager. And also, let me just replay that. Let's see if there is a timer. So there it is. It's a 1-minute timer. So that does confirm what I was thinking in those Legion bosses. Sometimes you lose a battle even though not all your heroes will be dead. It's from that 1-minute timer. And we have that visibility again because we come in here and we watch that replay. There is a lot to learn from these replays. So I really encourage you guys, if something weird happens, good or bad, go in and watch the replay. Go analyze the battle report, go to your heroes, go to your queue, play around with the positioning of your heroes. Even I found swapping adjudicator from right to left or left to right matters a bunch. I got about a 15% damage bonus whenever I swapped which side ever. Now I moved the whole stack because again, I like to have my damagers directly behind adjudicators, so I move them all from the right to the left. Let me just make sure that they line up. So on that report, adjudicator was on the left, and if we look here, yeah, adjudicator is on the left here too, so the reported left and right is correct. So but yeah, if you guys have any other tips on battle reports, let me know. I wanted to kind of show what all I look at and how I kind of go off of to make any of my suggestions. And really a lot of it comes down to analyzing which heroes someone has, and then especially if they can provide a couple of different reports with some different configurations. I like to come and see, oh well, hey, your Pyro did 107 million and your your Paragon did 48.8 million. Let's swap them and run the same tests again and see what happens. Or maybe let's switch which one's behind Adjudicator. You know, if Pyro's behind Rose, then switch Pyro behind Adjudicator and see if the damage is different. So a lot of it is just trial and error and just looking through the battle report. So, but yeah, I just want to do a video over how I look through battle reports. There is some math to it, but not much, and then some Excel work if you want to really dive deep into under the queue down to all of the technological resource things. So, but I guess on here, a lot of what I usually look at here is looking at like the soldier bonuses, because those are the things that I think are the most overlooked by most people. But yeah, I know it's a little bit of a long video, but there was a lot to cover. So hope you guys like it. Leave me a comment in the comments, and if you guys have any other topics you'd like some deep dives on, let me know. I'm by no means an expert. I've been playing games like this for 15 or 20 years. I've been playing this game for probably 2 months is all, but you know, most of these games are fairly similar. I played War and Order for a long time. I played Wars Mobile for a while. I played Ebony on the computer for years. Very different than Ebony on the mobile. Ebony on the computer was a phenomenal game. All the way back into college, I played what was it called? Kings of Chaos, I think. It was text-based. It was really cool game, had some cool features. So yeah, hope you guys like it. Talk to you later.